Good morning, good evening, good afternoon for everybody. My name is Tatiana Kovac, and this is podcast Happy at Work. In our podcast, we meet with experts from a different part of the world and discuss one about a topic, people-centered approach for making our employee more happy or our business more successful. Today, my guest is Kon. Hi, Kon.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Happy to see you here. I know and I want to present a little bit more about you and your background for my audience. I know what you're originally from US, but now you're in Europe for your vacation. And I know what your focus is on employee engagement, on helping people as a consultant, as a coach to become more productive, to love their work more and help the leaders to make their work more attractive. And you have very, very interesting conception about Mondays. Is it correct?
I do. Yes. Yes. And I'm looking forward to having a conversation about that because I think Mondays are such a key part of our work week. It's the start of our work week for most people. And it's the day that most of us worry about. That's the problem. For those of us that love what we do, we are excited about Mondays. But for most people, when they think about Mondays, even on the weekend when they're relaxing, they think about work on Monday. And for many people, that's not a positive feeling. And so, but we can change that.
And my question, how we could change our feelings about Monday from two perspectives. From a perspective of a leader, what as a leader I could do for changing this situation for my employees, and as an employee, what and also from leader, I think, what could I do from my personal side for changing my feelings about the Monday?
Let's jump into this right away then. So here's my approach. Here's my ideas about this. First of all, it's important for us to understand a very simple truth. People don't hate Mondays. They hate how Mondays feel a lot of times. And the second truth that I want to bring to our audience is that the ones that control how people feel on Monday, first and foremost, are the leaders. The leaders are the one that have the biggest impact on how their people feel about showing up to work on Monday. In some cases, when they do their job right, when they handle things and they can do some very simple things to make a difference in their space, in their workspace, in their work environment, people will show up ready to give their best on Monday. Otherwise, they just show up on Monday and all they want to do is try to survive until Friday when the next weekend starts.
What could we do for changing this mode from survival mode for, I think, a thriving mode?
Very
What
good.
could you do?
Well, here's the thing that I want to propose, and especially again, people can control a lot of that themselves, but I want everybody for us to understand that people don't leave companies. People leave their supervisors. That's the relationship that's so important. Every study that's been published in the last 30 years will speak to the same sort of thing, whether it's McKinsey, Gallup, Center for Creative Leadership. They all say the same things. Leaders have the biggest impact on their teams and how they feel. Many say as much as 70% of a person's disposition, productivity, how effective they are at work is controlled by that relationship between them and the supervisor. So building a strong relationship with your supervisor, with your teammates is important. But let's break that down a little bit more about what can people do. Well, there's three parts to my methodology and to my ideas about making Mondays work. The first one is that supervisors, leaders can ignite, can fire up their people, can create engaged teams. And the way they need to do that is first and foremost, let people know that they're valued. Create an environment where people feel they matter, that they have value that they bring to the organization. When people feel that they are appreciated, that they are valued in their organization and their team, they will always give more than what's expected of them. The next part of that is people want to feel connected. We are tribal creatures. We want to belong. I mean, for those of us right now, for example, that are following along with the World Cup, you walk into the stadium and you see people wearing the same jersey as you, the same colors as you, and all of a sudden you are family. We see that. And we see whether we're out there playing Jogo Bonito right now, and we see that and we have fun with this. We want to belong. We want to belong to a group. We want to feel connected. It's no different at work. We want to feel part of something bigger than ourselves. We want to feel connected to our team, to the goals, to the mission of what we're trying to do. Leaders can help that. They can create that connection with people. They can help reinforce those connections between them and each person, but also between the team members themselves by bringing them together, by sharing values, by sharing the stories, by sharing the goals that they want to do and rewarding people. Again, people want to feel productive. They want to show up at work and they want to feel like the time that they're spending there matters. It makes a difference. No matter what my job is, I want to know that even the simple things that I do, how do they contribute to the big picture? I ask most of my clients when we talk about this, I said, imagine that I was to take a picture of all of us right now. What's the first thing that most people will do when I give them that picture? Well, most people will look at that picture and say, where am I in this picture? Because we want to see where do we fit into things. And it's the same at work. We want to know that how do we fit into this bigger picture at work? And a leader, a good leader, can help people understand that everything that I do matters. And it matters because it impacts somebody else in the team. And then when it comes to engagement, the fourth part of this is people want to feel supported so they can continue to learn and grow. When they show up on Monday, they want to feel like I have a future here. I can do something here. I have a career here. And a career path, that feeling is kind of like water. With water, you can look at a swamp and you can look at a river. The difference between the two is one is stagnant. It doesn't move. It just stays there. But a river flows. A river has movement, and people want their career to have movement, just like the river. They don't want to feel like they're stuck in a swamp. And so when they show up on Monday, when they know that they're connected to their team, they're appreciated, they're working and making a difference. And oh, by the way, what I'm doing is going to help my career and myself grow as well as the team. That's a very different energy that shows up on Monday. And when supervisors can help cultivate that and engage people and show them those things, these are needs that we have, not just as employees, but as people overall. So that's the one big thing. Fire up, ignite that engagement in people when you want to make Mondays work. So that's one thing. I will offer the leaders that are watching us right now, Tatiana, some simple ideas. It costs nothing. It takes nothing out of their budget and it takes very little time. It's a simple things that they can do. When they show up with their team on a Monday, let people know that you value them. And the way you do that, for example, is create a safe environment. That safe environment, yes, physically safe. A lot of the companies that I work with, for example, in construction, big construction companies, safety is important because getting home to your family at the end of the day is important. We have to create that. That's non-negotiable. But that's part of what the day-to-day job is. But a supervisor can take it one step further. And what that means is that they can create a psychologically and an emotionally safe place where people feel like they can express themselves. They can share ideas. They can talk about what's working and perhaps what's not working and offer ideas without feeling like they're going to get punished for their ideas or for bringing up something that's not working. So create that safe space. That costs you nothing. Trust. That builds trust that through that safety and people can feel like you value them. Their opinion matters. Another thing to consider, for example, is respect. Many of us talk about respect in the workplace. Well, respect comes in two flavors. The first flavor is the respect that we owe each other as human beings, as colleagues, as professionals. That should be something that right from the day one, we offer each other that mutual respect. But there's also an additional respect. I can earn more respect from my supervisor, from my teammates, from others when I do my job and I do it well, when I go above and beyond, when I do something that helps others. I earn even more respect from my team. That costs nothing. If you want people to feel valued, show them, offer them the respect. Another thing is show them that they belong. Create the space on your team, not just to tolerate them, but invite them in. Invite them to bring their skills. You have a rich history, Tatiana. You've lived so many different places. You've done so much. I need to open up the space on my team to allow you to bring all of yourself to work. Because when you bring all of yourself to work, you're going to bring your best self to work. Again, that costs me nothing. When I invite you in and say, Tatiana, you know what? You have so much knowledge of languages, of history, of this, of that. I want you to bring that to the team. How can you help us? And I invite you in and I give you that respect and I value that. Another thing is attention. We live in an economy that's all about attention. Everybody, the advertisers, marketing, social media, it's all about capturing attention. Well, as a supervisor, you have the opportunity to offer your attention to people, even if it's for 5 minutes. When you sit down with person on your team, shut down the laptop, put your phone away, focus, be present in the moment, be here, eye contact, body language, tell them, let them know, I respect you, I care about you, I value you, I'm here, I'm listening. That tells people that you value them. It costs you nothing. And finally, think about this. Thank you. A thank you goes so far. Appreciation, gratitude. Like I told you before, when people are appreciated, they will always give you more. There is a very, very noticeable difference between people that just come in to do what's on their job description for what they get paid for. And when I, as a supervisor, say, well, I'm giving you a paycheck, come in and do your job. If I just make it transactional that way, then people are just going to give me what I pay them for. But when I truly value them, I'm giving them more than money. I'm giving them things that matter to their person, to their self-esteem, to who they are as a person. They will give me back a lot more of that discretionary effort, that little bit extra that makes the difference. That's what carries us through the good times and especially through the bad times.
One, may I ask you a little bit more? I absolutely agree with all your tips. And I understand, for example, when we start our conversation before the make recording, for example, it was a great example of respect when you start to talk on my native language. And it could be very interesting for a multinational team. My question for you, if we talk about leaders who work with remote team, for example, and now I have heard a lot what the people say, we have no time for making our personal connection because we have a lot of work and our meetings, we need to go straight to our work. And when I recommend, for example, please invest to know more about these people, I say it's personal. Should I ask them about family and so on? It's usually it's my if we talk about the people in office, we could meet near the cooler and have this informal discussion about situation. But it's a little bit difficult when we talk about remote work. What could you recommend? So leaders who work with remote work, and especially it's remote work with multinational teams, the people from different countries, with different thinking about what does it mean respect, what should I speak, what should I speak. This person sometimes it's fear. So for building this connection, the team.
So let's unpack that a little bit because there's a number of different things in there that I want to touch on that I think are important. First of all, in my belief as a leader, I want to create a relationship with the people that I work with. I want to earn their trust. And many times the only way I can do that is by being open with them. I don't need them to know all of the details of my life or my personal life, but I want them to know that I'm a human being and I want to treat them like human beings. So if there's a birthday in the family, if somebody comes back from leave and they've just had a child, how can I not say congratulations or how's the baby? How's the mama with this? How's everything going with that? That just shows that I care. And until I show people that I care, they're not going to give me their best. So it's important for us to relate to people as human beings. Now, you mentioned something about a lot of leaders think about efficiency. They're all about efficiency. It's all about productivity and efficiency and everything else. That's great if you're working on an assembly line in a factory. But when you're dealing with people, people are more complex than a widget. I cannot look at productivity because most of us that manage remote teams manage knowledge workers. They're not managing people that just produce a thing on an assembly line. That's very different. When I'm working with knowledge workers, again, the respect that I show, I need to adapt. There is what I call the leadership paradox. And a paradox, think about it this way, two opposing ideas that I need to hold together and synthesize to make it work. So for example, when I talk about working with a team remotely, I need to both manage outputs, what's their productivity, but I also need to manage outcomes. I can't always know because knowledge workers many times will sit there thinking about things. They'll process things. They'll test things. They may write a whole program, a whole essay, and then delete it because it's the wrong thing and start over again. I cannot just manage outputs of a knowledge worker. I have to manage outcomes. What is the end result that they're giving me? And what is the impact of that? So it's a very different way of managing people. A lot of
I
the
want to ask you
managers that
also
I work
about the
with,
trust.
I have to wake
You
them up
mentioned
from
that
the
it's
old
really
way that they were taught. They were taught very differently because the way that we taught leaders is, again, the factory way, the military way. It's very different nowadays that we have to manage, especially with a remote workforce. So I need to replace, for example, I need to be able to, again, a paradox. I need to be able to produce empathy, a connection with my people, but I also need to have tough love. I need to have clear boundaries and expectations. So those things can work together. I need to use high tech and high touch, meaning that the technology is there. You and I right now are on two sides of the world, opposite sides of the world, literally. And in this case, we're using the technology to bring us together. Okay. Through that now as a leader, I can create a high touch moment, a moment where we are connecting as human beings. I can't have I don't have that opportunity when we are leaving that meeting room together, walking to the break room to get a fresh cup of coffee, where you and I have that 5 minutes of personal interaction. I need to create that. So I need to be very purposeful in what I create those moments. As a leader, when I'm managing a remote workforce, I have to make those moments count and I have to create those moments because they don't just happen. Does that make sense? So I have to make them happen from that perspective. That's the only way we're going to be able to keep those people close to us, connected, and producing at the level that they need to. I work a lot of times with executive leaders one-on-one as an executive coach, and many of them ask me the same question. How can I earn more trust from my people? And my answer is simple. Become more trustworthy. You need to earn that trust. You need to be worthy of that trust. And how do you become trustworthy? When your words and actions are consistent, that's when you earn trust. What you say and what you do, how you express yourself and how you behave are the same, are in line, that's when you start earning people's trust. They may not like your answers, they may not agree with them, but they will trust you. Let's not confuse. This is not about likability. Trust means that I know that what you say, you will do. Or if Tatiana says she will be on the call at this time with me, she will be there. I'm not waiting. I'm not guessing. I'm not trying to figure out where are you? Are you okay? That's the part that breaks down trust. When I stop doing what I say I'm going to do, that breaks trust. And it's hard to recover from that. That's the part where we start having problems in relationships, not just at work, anywhere in our life. And for me, trust is one of the foundational pieces. I can't work with people when I don't trust them. If I have to constantly look over my shoulder and second guess what they're doing, and are they being honest with me? Are they being truthful with me? I can't work that
from a leader perspective. You also
way.
need to have trust to your employees. How to start to change the situation in your organization? Ask your employees, what do they think? And sometimes leaders understand what we could hear and they're closed for this feedback. So it's true. So the employee could feel this and say, yes, yes, okay. We like our organization. Everything is okay. So if first, which sign could leaders should focus on if they could understand maybe we need some changes? And how to prepare yourself for this difficult conversation from both sides also for hear something what you are maybe right now not ready to hear or you want to prevent yourself from damage your personality. How could we help our leaders to be prepared for this open conversation and feel themselves, as you mentioned, the psychological safety for both sides, from
Right.
sides of employees, also for sides for the
Yeah.
leaders. It's also important.
Yeah. The work of a leader, the communication that a leader needs to establish with their people. For the most part, it's person to person, or person, individual to the team, leader to the team. And in most cases, people want to hear the simple truth about things. But that's not always easy to share. Some leaders are more comfortable communicating than others. And I understand that. Many leaders are much more comfortable in their job skills, their knowledge, their technical skills. And they have a hard time relating to people independently. Sometimes they don't always understand why people behave a certain way, why they're not motivated by the same things. This is where the investment that we make in developing the leaders, opening up their minds so they understand that not everybody is the same. Different people are motivated by different things. They want different things from their work, from their job. Some people just want to come to work and do their job and leave. Other people want to connect with their teammates more. They want to feel differently from that. Some people want to know that they're getting recognition, they're getting promotions, they're getting rewards, they're getting bonuses. Different things are going to motivate different people. And so the environment that we create as leaders has to take those things into account. How can you as a leader function well when you don't understand the people that you have on your team? Who they are, what they want. Have the conversation. They ask me, how do I know those things? Ask them. It's simple. Sit down, have a conversation with them and ask them, what matters to you? Tatiana, what's important to you? Tell me about your day. Tell me about what it is that makes you want to come to work, or what it is that makes you feel like Mondays are terrible and I don't want to be here. Tell me what it is, and let's have that conversation. Let's get more of what makes you happy, of what excites you here in the environment, and less about what makes you unhappy. Sometimes it's that simple. And we overcomplicate things. Sometimes we hide behind numbers, we hide data and everything else. But it's the interpersonal relationships. That's the backbone, the strength that we need to build, that human centered workplace that we need to create team by team, organization by organization, department by department. All of us play a part in this. And again, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time. That's not your job. Being happy at work is very different than being engaged at work, because there's going to be days that are going to be hard. Right now, there's a lot of companies out there that are struggling to meet productivity, or they've had to have layoffs and they have to work with fewer people, or they're not sure because there's a new tariff, or all of a sudden they don't have access to this market, or something has changed. There's a lot of volatility in our workplace. And I'm not here to tell you everything is sunshine and rainbows. I'm here to tell you that the strength of the relationships that we have with our people is what's going to get us through the hard times. The stronger we are as a team, as people, as connections, the stronger we are in the face of difficulties. And that's the part that we need to start building. And that comes through the trust that we build with each other. When you know that I will be here for you, or I'm going to tell you the truth to the best of my ability, and this is what it is, and I knowing that I want the good for you and we want the good for each other. These are the things that create those connections with us. But again, Tatiana, you can express yourself in a lot of different languages, and you have that gift of being able to communicate well. But there are a lot of leaders that need help with that. That's why we work with them. That's why we do the classes, the coaching. We bring them together. We align it to help them demystify this, to make sure that they understand that sometimes it's a simple conversation that can help move things along and break down those barriers.
I want to ask you about help, about how could you help the leaders? Now I remember one joke which we have at on Monday morning. The man said, "Mother, I don't want to go to school," but the mother say, "You have to go. You're a teacher." So
Mhm.
it says the same for the leader. What? How could we help our leaders to feel themselves more happy about Monday morning? How? What organization, maybe HR, maybe the leaders by themselves could do for changing the situation?
That's the thing, because they have the control. They are in the most powerful position to control, to create the environment. And they need to invite their team in, invite them in to make that together, to create that workplace where we can all feel good. Again, if we continue to support each other, to feel valued, to connect with each other, to be productive and be effective in what you're doing, and to see that this has an impact to us all over, that's big. When we can strengthen our resilience and our ability to navigate the changes that are happening, to understand what's happening, and then to focus on the areas that are going to make us more effective, the people. How are they able to do that as a leader? Can I train my people to be good at what they're doing? Yes. Can I help them then understand how to motivate them and get them engaged? Yes. And then that's the people part. There's also the element of process, the systems that I put in place. As a leader, I can help with my people create the systems that are going to make things work for better and faster. We talk about AI a lot nowadays. We can use technology, automation to make the systems better, simpler, not to replace people, but to free people up to be able to do things. And then organizationally, are we are we aligned? Are we all on the same page? Do we have a clear mission? Are we behind that mission? Do we have our values? Do we have the right people on the right seat on the bus going so they can perform their well? When I can do those things as a leader, I can create that environment because I explain to people, we have this expression in the United States, Tatiana, and you maybe have heard it as well, that sometimes people leave because they think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Somewhere else that's going to be better, whether it's work or relationships or other. They always think the grass is greener somewhere else. I'm here to tell you that in business and in life, the grass is greener where you water it, where you take care of it. That's where the grass is green. And so as a leader, I can water my grass. I can take care of that. I can work with my people to create a beautiful garden that we all want to be a part of and show up on Monday and be at our best. If I can take care of that one week after the other, then by Friday, we have done something. We feel like we've accomplished something together. We've done something good. We've made it through. And now we look forward to Monday. And then we can regroup again and we continue to build that momentum that really gets us going. And with that momentum, we can make Mondays work.
Thanks a lot. I like this metaphor about garden. And every leader could care for their garden. And in reality, if we talk about the real physical garden, it helps us to be more healthier and happier when we join, especially a very wonderful, very well done garden. To sum up, it's our conversation. We mentioned a lot of very important things about trust, about changing situation, about building a relationship, and what should you do as a leader for your team. To sum up all these important topics, what 3 main tips which you could give to the leaders, to the organization who want to build a culture they we could feel what the Mondays really works?
So let's quickly, when we talk about that culture building for the special thing for the Mondays, it's important to understand that culture is the way we do things. And for all the leaders out there, I want them to understand, if you don't like your culture, change the way you do things. When you change the way you do things, your culture will change. It will become different. So start, first of all, by engaging your people. Make sure they feel valued, connected, productive, and supported. That's number one. So engagement. The second thing is build strong muscles on your team, the resilience that they need to be able to do well so they can navigate the unexpected, the changes and the problems. And the third thing, focus the performance so you can get to the right things, whether that's the people that need help, the process that needs help, or the organizational piece overall. Figure out where that is and you can really move the needle. Engagement, resilience, performance together, all of that helps us make Mondays work. Because when Mondays work, everything else comes easier.
Thanks a lot for this conversation. For me, it was full of different insights, which and some practical tips, which I think every leader could implement in their everyday life. Thanks for this conversation and sharing your experience.
Thank you, Tatiana. Spasiba. Thank you very much. Obrigado for all of the time that we spent together.
From my side, I could say sorry. I
Evgaristo.
remember also reply of respect when you understand the person whom we are meeting. Thanks a lot for participation. And this is podcast Happy at Work. My name is Tatiana Koval. Stay connected.